Hello again, this is ElderGodBrandon, and this time I'm going to be reviewing a movie based on a popular anime and manga, The Guyver. Part human, part alien, your superpower. This movie was made in 1991. It's a science fiction film based on the Guyver manga series. The plot is that the CIA agent Max Reed witnesses this doctor's death, who is a researcher for the mysterious Kronos Corporation. Looking at it here, some of the details. And he had stolen this device known as the GUYVER from the Kronos Corporation. Then this college student, Sean Barker, who is played by... And Max Reed's played by Mark Hamill, who we all know is Luke's our use the Force, Luke! But this college student, Jack Armstrong, who's played by Sean Barker, who is played by the tongue-tied. That's not going to look good on my review. Jack Armstrong is who plays this college student, Sean Barker, whose girlfriend's father was the doctor. And he finds the Guyver's hiding spot while watching a forensic team investigating the crime scenes of the death of the doctor. And further events in the movie, the Guyver ends up fusing with him, and it causes him to be covered in this suit of bio-armor, which we all know is a bio-booster armor. The president of Kronos, Fulton Balkus, who is played by, who is this listed here? David Gale. He wants the Guyver back, and he sends his mutant henchmen, who are known as Zoonoids, back to retrieve it. This movie contradicts some of the things we know from the manga and the anime series. Like, he sends Lisker, his henchman Lisker, to retrieve the Guyver. Well, in the comic books and the anime and the manga both, Lisker is a top agent for Kronos who becomes a Guyver himself. Well, in this movie, he completely gets wasted, and he plays a Zoonoid whose name escapes me at the moment. I can't remember the name. Anyway, anyway, he's played by Michael Berryman, and he sends him to steal it back. That's your basic plot, and it ensues. He ends up learning how to use the suit and rescues his girlfriend. They destroy Kronos at the end. There are actually some funny characters in this movie, though, that are actually pretty funny. There's this character named Stryker who plays a Zoonoid. He's played by Jimmy Walker, who I think is some foreign comedian, but he's very funny in this movie. Every time he screws up, he's just like, I'm just doing my job! I'm just doing my job! And he has a partner friend of his named Ramsey, who's played by Peter Spellos. There's a colonel in this, also played by Willard E. Pugh, who doesn't show up very much in this movie. You only see him like a couple times, plus at the end of the movie. Let's see. There's a couple other notable names in here. There's David Wells plays Dr. Gordon, and that's basically all I can remember about that as far as that. As far as this was directed by Steve Wang, and it doesn't say what else he. The cover of this movie is very misdirecting, by the way. It makes you think that Mark Hamill plays the main character, but he doesn't. But anyway, this was directed by Steve Wang. It was produced by Brian Yuzna. I don't know Japanese names. It was written by Joe Wu Jr., and the original story was conceived by Yoshika Takaya. Again, I can't pronounce the damn names. It stars Mark Hamill, Vivian Wu, Jack Armstrong, Jimmy Walker, David Gale as basically the main characters. The music's done by Matthew Morse, which the music in this movie is actually really good and far superior to its American sequel that followed. The cinematography is done by Levi Isaacs. The editing was, well, who cares about it? It was distributed by New Line Cinema, which is a good company for that. It was released March 18th, 1991. It's 105 minutes long, and it was followed by one other movie called Guyver Dark Hero. It was received here and reviewed, and all the critics basically said the same thing in all their reviews. They said it was surprisingly convincing. It had surprisingly convincing costumes and effects, inspired casting, and energetic direction. But what sinks this movie is its unfortunate adherence to time-honored direct-to-video cliches. this video did not get a theatrical release. That's basically what sunk it. An unearned paycheck for a one-time A-picture star, and a tendency to fall back on lame humor whenever the going gets slow. Like I said, the humor from Stryker. I'm just doing my job. I'm just doing my job. David Johnson of DVD Verdict criticized the film's ham-fisted overacting and ludicrous plot contrivances. Like I said again with Lisker, the whole thing they screw up in plot conversion, which completely contradicts the anime and the manga. And nauseatingly hokey soundtrack. I don't agree with critics on that. I actually like the soundtrack. And the theme for this song is really good and catchy, and I looked it up on YouTube and I downloaded it for myself. Johnson called the film a big, dumb joke. Despite some good creature effects, the movie crashed and burned and crashed again, weighted down by preposterous acting and corny music. I don't agree with any of that. Some of it maybe, but another review criticized the film, in particular the annoying demeanor and lack of personality by the lead actor, Jack Armstrong, who plays the Guyver himself. According to this, the review, most reviews say that if ever there was a movie made for fan appreciation only, this is probably it, and that's one point I have to agree on. If there was ever a movie made just for the fans, this movie has to be it. This movie here has to be it. But not everything can be blamed on audience unfamiliarity either. There are plenty of elements in this movie that don't work even by fanboy standards. The film generated enough interest for a sequel, though, obviously, with Armstrong being replaced by David Hayter in the next movie in the role of Sean, which was more well received critically than its predecessor. And that's basically all there is to say about this movie. There's not really much else to say. Even Wikipedia doesn't have much else on it. But as far as movies go, I'll have to say this one is probably better than most movies. I'll give this movie a 3.6 out of 5. It's worth watching, but if you're a fan of the anime or manga, you're totally gonna hate it. Even the Mega Smasher effects at the end of the movie don't really measure up to what you would expect of a Guyver movie. About the only thing that fans will even seeing in this movie, besides the theme song, is the Guyver itself. Other than that, really not worth watching as far as fans go. But as far as movie watchers go who aren't familiar with the Guyver, it's worth watching. So 3.6 out of 5. I'm going to review Guyver 2 next.